Hey guys, welcome back to Man Crush Monday featuring Nolan Holloway. Hey Nolan.
Hey, how are you?
This is Nolan Holloway, and he's my Man Crush Monday for November. Thank you for being on my channel.
Thank you for having me.
So Nolan, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
Originally born in the Bronx, my family moved out to Queens when I was about 5 years old, so I was raised in East Elmhurst, Queens, New York, which is near LaGuardia for those folks that know, and went to junior high, high school, and ended up going to college every place in New York until I relocated to Atlanta in '95.
What made you relocate to Atlanta?
I was working for MTV, and they re-engineered our jobs, and I had an opportunity to relocate. So at the time, I was, with the family, so I relocated to Georgia in June of 1995.
Oh, cool. What were you doing with MTV?
I was working in accounts receivable. Basically, we had license fees for our 4 different channels, and we would collect the receivables from cable companies all across the country.
Oh, okay, cool. What do you do now?
I am still in accounts receivable, but I work for a distribution company called Ballard.
Now that seems like a lot of math, but you have a different side to you. You write poetry.
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. It's real technical. I like numbers, but the poetry is kind of another side for me. But it's only been like within the last 5 years that I actually started writing poetry.
What got you into writing poetry?
I was dating someone at the time, and I just put together a little simple lyric rhyme or whatever, and she liked it. And then from there, I really didn't do anything. And then all of a sudden, the poetry started pouring out, where I started just continually writing. And by the time I finished, I had about maybe 200 or 300 poems.
What makes you? What do you think made the poetry start pouring out?
I'm not really sure. I'm a man of faith, and I just believe that living my life and the moment that I was in, that it was something that God just revealed through just letting the outpouring of my poetry start. And that's where the writings came in. It was just something spontaneous, something that I didn't control. I just let it flow.
Okay, I know you allowed me to read a couple of your poems, and there's 2 that I really love, and I want you to tell me where the inspiration for these poems came from. Okay, the first one is Coffee Eyes. I really like this one. It reads, morning rotation, open eyes slowly, mind rolls in from dreams, thankful acknowledgement of being, looking into the wisdom of her heart. I sip on those coffee eyes, a little cream with 2 sugars for the right flavor. Deep, rich, and brown color stirred up from inner earth, natural and rooted, speaks wisdom without words, calling out to me to come and embrace and drink the morning look of love. That's really nice.
That came from just kind of our homage to the sisters. You know what I'm saying? It's just coffee has that brownness, that color, and just giving a homage to the sisters, and at that particular moment, just kind of paying them respect. Because in a lot of aspects of the world we live in now, women of any color don't really get that much respect. So that's kind of a homage to them.
Oh, well, thank you. As a sister, I appreciate that. And there's another one, The Deal. And it reads, the deal, what someone tried to sell me. You will receive what you need when I get what I want. This is how it is, and not a taunt. I will guide and be the captain of this ship. Stay aboard, over the side, take a tip. Once you understand what it is, it's all about me, not concerned with your happiness or inner glee. Fortunate that I am with you. I control the ingredients of this brew. So sit at the table on my terms, or be buried out back with the worms. The deal is fashioned so that I am the one in charge. My rules and what I say you cannot dodge. For I am the one who has total autonomy. My sign is Sagittarius from astronomy. I chime in, hear my voice. In my manhood, I rejoice. This is a deal that won't be mine. So find someone else to spend your time. Oh, I love that. Now, where's the backstory behind that one?
Backstory behind that one, I was dealing with someone and they wanted to run the relationship. They wanted to be in control. They wanted to be the one where feelings wouldn't be reciprocated. They would want to put things out there, but expected me to reciprocate. But they kind of put what they wanted, and I was supposed to just accept what they were given. So that's where that piece came from. So it's kind of from my perspective of what was being done to me.
So Journey to the Poetic Light Illuminations, that's your second?
That's my second book.
Your second book. And your first book, Into My Rotation. Into My Rotation to me seems a lot more spiritual, and then Journey to the Poetic Light Illumination seems to deal with relationships. Is that?
It is accurate. Into My Rotation, there was I played pool with a group of friends. And I would say, what's the rotation for this weekend? Oh, we're gonna shoot pool on Friday and Saturday. So then when I was writing the poems, I didn't think about a theme or what they centered around, but then as I started thinking about, okay, what's gonna be the concept? Then the rotation started. So that's why I had the 4 rotations. And the rotations were rotated around my life. So therefore, that's where the title came from. And those poems, yes, they're spiritual, and some of them are spiritual, but Into My Rotation is really what to me. What's in my world.
So your experience.
My experiences went into the first book, Into My Rotation, whether it's spiritual, observational, perspective, and romance, was things that was going on with me at that particular time. But those were my journey to poetic light. Remember, I continued to write. Even when I was writing the first book, even though I had poems for the first book, I was still writing poetry. So for the second book, it was like, okay, what is all this poetry? Where does it go? And I noticed that light kind of intertwined with the poetry in the second book. So that's why you have Inner Light, Outer Luminance, and New Light, was because of each poem had themes of dealing with light. When I write poetry, because I'm a believer, everything has to end in light. Because I know that God, at the end of the day, is going to come and take us to this glorious eternity, that my poems have to always end in light, no matter where I'm writing from. And there are some, in the second book, there's some dark pieces or darker pieces, but if you notice, they always end with redemption or hope or being able to go beyond and break through in the second book.
Okay. There was one that I'm looking for now in first book. It's The Power.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorites.
I like this one. It says, the power. We have tapped into a special place. 2 people different but on the same path. The man, the woman, seeking to control the power of their lives and the power of their life. Together, nothing is impossible. Our minds blend into one. We hear speak on the same level. The feeling is surreal. The air is electric. Reconnect, mental vibe. Mutual attraction. The power on both levels. We have started a journey that will strengthen our spirit and enhance our love for the power and each other. When you talk about the power in here, what's that? What's the power for you?
That power is basically our spiritual power, the power of God, but then the power of relationships. When you meet somebody and you connect on a certain level, it's basically divine in a way, because that's how He designed relationships to be. So really, it's finding a relationship that God is a part of. Not the secular type relationships, and that's why I talk about the power. It's His power, but then the relationship between the 2 people, there is power as well, joining into one, moving on the same path, drawn from that divine energy that God gives, and that's where that peace came from.
Well, I do see the connection between God and relationships in here. You're a newlywed.
Yes, just got married in August.
So how did that play into some of your books, or how long has your relationship been?
Well, the books are written way before I got married.
Okay.
Where that came from is that at that particular time in my life, I was becoming more self-aware. I was loving myself and understanding that, wow, I'm a decent person, I'm a decent human being. And then my faith got stronger. So my faith and then this gift that I was given allowed me to write about some of the things that I had experienced in my life, but some things I hadn't experienced yet. So it was like a foresight kind of. I'm writing about things that I hadn't gone through yet, but I just had an understanding from drawing from my past.
I know a lot of men don't subscribe to poetry, and they probably do, but they don't let people know. How do you intertwine masculinity and poetry?
I've always been, even when I was younger, I've always been the type of person who securing my manhood per se. Even when I was a teenager, I was always empathetic. My mother would tell me that I keep things inside a little bit too much, but I always was able to feel for other people. And as a man, you're told not to do that. You're told not to show sympathy or not to show weakness, because it's considered being weak. But I always found that was always part of who I am. So that comes out in my writing. It comes out in my writing as far as being empathetic. It comes out in my writing being able to step out of myself and be the other person, whether it's man or woman. Some men can't put themselves in a woman's position because they're so macho that it won't allow them to see a different perspective. So that's why they come up with, oh, you're gonna deal with me on my terms, or we're not gonna deal, or this is who I am, get used to it, instead of being able to say, you know what, let me put myself in her place to see how she feels, and that can basically turn me. That doesn't make me weak, doesn't make me less of a man. I feel it makes me, to me, more than less. And the poetry is just a way that I express myself through words. And being here in Atlanta, there is a poetry culture, and you'd be surprised how many men are reciting poems or going to spoken word events that listen to poetry. So it's not a big number, but there's some guys that get it. Basically, there's some people that just get it.
Have you performed at any spoken word events?
Yes, I performed at a number. Performed at churches, spoken word events, private events where we just have to have my book and my friends would have me read. What I'm trying to do is expand book clubs. I know a lot of women book clubs, or book clubs per se, don't read poetry. Most of the book clubs are urban fiction or science fiction or other genres. But I'm still got hope, and I'm still prodding, and especially in the church arena. I thought that if my poetry is spiritual, then that would open up a lot of opportunities for me to speak at churches and to share my faith. Because part of what my faith is in my writings.
How does your relationship with God come out in your writing? How do you express that? Your relationship with God through your writing?
It's a weird kind of thing, because when a poem comes, the title will come, and I'll write the title, but the poem's not there. And then the words will just flow. And it's not like it's not like I'm praying or anything like that. It's just that the words just come out, or the title comes out and the words just flow. When I go back, some pieces are one time. I'll just write it once, don't edit it. It's in a lot of poems in that first book, or maybe a few of those pieces got edited. Most of the pieces just came right out, and I didn't have to tweak any of them. And once I went back and read them, somebody said, read your work out loud to see what it sounds like to your ear. That's when I started hearing the spiritual part of the pieces. When I looked at the words and read it in my head, but when I spoke them out loud, wow, God is interwoven in my writing. And that's when I got, because I didn't sit down with the perspective of, oh, I'm gonna write this poem, God's gonna, it didn't work that way. It's just that the poem came out, I reread it out loud, and I said, oh, I see God in this. And even if it's a romantic piece, or even if it's a piece about being melancholy, God is still in it, because even through my pain or suffering or depression, He's always there. He could be, I could have stepped away or been under the dark cloud, but He's always that ray of sunshine that I'm trying to get to. But I'm going through that period where I'm struggling, per se. So.
Do you think God gave you this gift to express your poetry? I mean, for Him to express Himself through your poetry?
Yes. I believe that my words, and that's what resonates with me. When somebody reads my work, it basically lets me know. Not that a lot of people just, I like it, okay? That's not enough for me. If it moves them, if it does something to them that we can talk about, and my faith comes up and things like that. Like, I wrote a piece called Recovery. I'm not sure if it's in the first or the second book. A friend of mine that I work with, she had a friend that was going through rehab. And she just said the Lord gave her a title, and she said the title was Recovery, and can you write a poem? So I ended up writing a poem and just giving it to her. She kind of read it and went and took it to a friend. Now the next week, she came back and she said, wow, my friend really wanted me to thank you for writing this because she shared this with her group and she cried when she read it. So for me, that was validation that what I wrote, she related to it, it touched her in a special kind of way. So that's why I knew I was kind of onto something.
And not only validation, it's just like performing your purpose.
Yeah, in a way that too, because the fact that when she read it, and I wrote it from a place of experience because I was addicted at one time. Mm-hmm. So I was writing from a place, in a very dark place, a place I don't really like to go back to memory-wise because it makes me feel a certain way. But in order for me to write that piece, I had to go there.
How was that for you, going back to that place?
It was not easy. And the words, it's funny how the feeling was a difficult feeling to go back to that, but then the words just came out.
Because you had experienced it.
Because I had that experience. And I didn't know what her experience was, but I knew what mine was. But when she read it, she tapped into what she was going through. Because I was writing about what I went through, but she was able to relate to it because of what she had gone through. So that to me was a big, big deal.
I really like the fact that you don't just sit down and think that the words are gonna flow because you want to. You want them to flow. I like the fact that you sit down, that you write out your title and then let God do what He wants to with it.
Right, or either way, because sometimes the words come and the title doesn't come. Mm-hmm. So it's either way. But again, I kind of like let the process take its course. I don't try to, like I sit down, I may have an idea, but a lot of times it's not the idea that I had, and that's what comes out on the paper.
Mm-hmm. So I found recovery, and it reads, guilt floods the psyche. Levees bursting from the peer pressure. Filth stares through the outer guard pushing upward, through the back up sewers. Revealing a naked and bruised soul, sickness like a coat of shame, tattered and torn for all to see. No comfort from the elements, whose mocking words spews frosty breath. Homeless, wandering through the city full of judgment, casted away, undesirable and worthless. Can redemption ever be found? Acquaintances have left, succumbed to the foulness that covers and consumes. Companions converge to converse in negative conversation and pick through the scraps of thoughts and remain. Peering down a dark alley of light, a light burns. Shaky and unsteady, slapping the darkness away. Recovery steps and stumbles, guided by the will to remain upright, recapturing not what was lost, but redeeming each moment with promise, hoping never to succumb to the voices of damnation, recover and be whole once more. I love that. I love that because it speaks of the pain, and it also speaks of how it's not easy, right, but it's possible.
And how things around you are negative, but you still push forward, you still see that light, and because of that light, you have hope to be redeemed, which is why I say all my poems, they may start dark, but they always end in light.
What do you have planned for the future?
Well, I've written the third book, Life Between the Words, and that one is a tribute to my brother who passed away 3 years ago, my daughter who died under mysterious circumstances 2 years ago, we still don't know, and my mom dealing with Alzheimer's disease. So all of those three themes are resonated through the book. It still has hope, but there's still loss to redemption, and how I deal with that pain or deal with those thoughts of how there's a piece in there about my mom succumbing to Alzheimer's. Like, I still have my mom, but she's not my mom.
Right.
There's a piece in the book that talks about how we'll have a conversation, but her internal clock is like not my internal clock. Right. There was an incident where I was spending time with her in New York at her apartment, and she thought it was time for her to get up to go to the senior center, and it was 9:15 p.m. Mm-hmm. So she was fully dressed, ready to leave the apartment, and I'm trying to explain to her that it's dark outside, it's 9 at night, not 9 in the morning. And she sat on the bed, refused to change, said that she wasn't going to change, so I had to have my sister come and talk her into putting on her night clothes and getting back in the bed. And dealing with that is difficult because that's not the woman who I remember.
Right.
That's the woman who's in front of me now. So trying to write through that has not been easy, but it's been helpful for me to write about it because I can express how I'm feeling about who she is in this time of my life and what it's doing to me.
Well, tell my audience where they can get your book.
My books can be found on my website. My book can be found on my website, NolanPHollowayJr.com. They also are on Amazon.com, and I just recently added it to Goodreads, Goodreads.com, where people share books and read books. All 3 books are on there. And on my website, this book on Amazon is an ebook. And I just did a promotion from the 25th of October through the 29th where people could download the book for free.
Oh, cool.
So that promotion is ended. But if you go to my website, sign up for my newsletter, you can sign on to my website and you'll get it. Once you sign up for the website, when you sign up for the newsletter, it'll automatically send you a poem from any one of my books. And I'm getting ready to re-record some of my pieces and put it on my website as well.
Well, Nolan, thank you for being on my channel. Is there anything else you want my audience to know about
just,
yourself?
Read some poetry. I know there's a lot of other genres that you're interested in, but try to read some poetry and try to see if you can get to where the author was coming from, because it's really interesting and it's a different way of expression. So give it a try and see if you like it.
Thank you.